Damn, I missed you all. Can't wait to get back on the air. February 2nd, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. The return of the Dan Bongino Show. Lovers, haters, friends, supporters, detractors, you're all welcome. Make that chat room fire. I want to hear it all. Rumble.com/Bongino, February 2nd, 10 a.m. Live. See you there.
Hello and welcome to Nightly Scroll. I am Hayley Caronia. Happy Monday, everyone. I hope everyone had a great weekend. I know I did. Although my fridge is broken and I went to go pick up Chipotle because my fridge was broken, so I didn't have any food. It all went bad. And then I dropped my Chipotle. As soon as I got home, I dropped it in the parking lot of my apartment complex. So that was my weekend. But other than that, I had a good weekend. And I hope all of you did too. Just a quick reminder that this is the last Monday of Nightly Scroll ever. The last Monday ever. Starting next week, this show will be called Scrolling with Hayley. So the last Monday ever. Let's get into it, right? So quick reminder to subscribe everywhere, wherever you get the shows. Watch on Rumble, rumble.com/Hayley. Subscribe to the Bongino Report channel. I don't have to tell all of you in the chat that. You already know that. You're already there on Rumble. You already scroll with the homies every night, and I appreciate it. But for everyone else who might catch the show later, or they might listen on the podcast platforms, wherever you get your shows, make sure that you send it to a friend, tell a friend. All of that is very important. And we're going to be growing in this new year, especially starting next week. So I'm very excited, and make sure that you tell everyone that watches to switch over to 12 noon. I'm sure most of you will be watching Dan anyway, because I'm so excited for that. I know all of you are too as well. So another anti-ICE protester in Minnesota is dead. First was Renee Good, now Alex Preddy, both putting themselves in high-risk, dangerous positions with law enforcement. I will play the video and give you my initial thoughts. Also, 2 Florida nurses are under fire for wishing harm on MAGA patients. Also, model Chrissy Teigen seemed extremely disturbed when her Star Search colleague, Jelly Roll, mentioned God. Something inside of her was really quite disturbed. We're going to get into it. And an Australian influencer says she's standing with the ICE protesters and she won't be visiting the U.S. anytime soon. Everyone start crying. Oh, wait, we don't care. All right, put your phones on Do Not Disturb. Nightly Scroll starts now. He's honest with all of you. When it's popular, when it's unpopular, I'm always going to tell you what I think, unless I don't know. And I hate when people get bullied into making statements before all the facts come out. The shooting in Minnesota that occurred over the weekend, this is an interesting situation. You know, I don't go on X and collect other people's opinions and then use them as my own. No. I rack my own brain and come up with my own thoughts. And half of these people on the internet have no idea what they're talking about anyway. I spent almost the entire weekend watching other creators comment on the situation in Minnesota and then have to walk back their statements, apologizing for jumping to conclusions. I will not do that. You already know the Bongino rule, that hold rule. It is in effect. And, you know, when I saw the video situation with Renee Good, it was way easier to tell what was going on. Every angle that came out showed that she and her wife were out there to wreak havoc. Not just trying to, go, well, she was just trying to pull out of her driveway and she got killed for it. No. That's what the left claims. And then all of these angles come out, and it's very clear that the agents were telling Renee Good to get out of the car. She ends up driving away instead. Blatantly in the wrong. Very sad that she had to die, but that's what happens when you drive into law enforcement agents. Now, people were asking my opinion on this latest shooting, Alex Preddy, over the weekend, and I didn't give one because I've watched this video a dozen times, dozens of times. And I've watched it slowed down. I've watched it with certain parts highlighted or circled. I've also seen AI photos of this situation that are completely fake. But let's watch this video together. So this is in slow-mo. You see a bunch of agents kind of surrounding Alex Preddy on the ground. And you see the agent on the right. It's actually on the left, but where this video is on the right. And he's hitting him from the right. And then this agent takes his gun and fires off shots. Now, What we don't see in this video is what happened leading up to all of this. And this is chaos, right? And I have so many questions, right? Like, what led up to this moment? Apparently, there was a woman that was, on the ground. And I don't know why she was on the ground. But ICE was, I don't know if they were trying to detain her or what was going on with the woman, but there's a woman in the brown jacket. And in this video, you see Alex Peretti and he's on the ground with her, getting involved, almost like pulling her around. Like it almost looked like he was dragging her around. I don't know why he stepped in. His parents have now put out a statement saying, he's a hero that was trying to step in and help this woman. From where I was sitting, it didn't look like he was doing any helping. And that's just from where I'm sitting, right? And this video is much harder to decipher what's going on. I just see people, flailing on the ground. You can't really tell, who's law enforcement, who isn't. They're all wearing similar colors. And I think this is part of the reason why this ended the way that it did. People claim that he was holding onto a gun or grabbing for his holster in that video. And other people are claiming from this video that the agents, and you could see in the video, one of the agents goes to disarm him. Like the agent goes to take the gun from his holster. And I think that this agent in the green saw the agent grab for his gun and almost mistook it for Alex reaching for his gun. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? Is that clear? I feel like the agent that ended up shooting Alex Peretti was caught up in this moment and was mistaking Alex reaching for his holster, but it was actually the agent disarming him. But again, I cannot say that with 100% certainty. Now, I've also heard people on the right side say, oh, Alex shouldn't have brought a gun to the protest. What was he doing bringing a loaded gun to a protest? That's not what he did wrong. He had every right to carry legally, and just because you're armed doesn't mean that you are planning to use your firearm to kill ICE officers. That's not what's happening. You can't prove that. It's not wrong to bring a gun to a protest. Kyle Rittenhouse is Exhibit A, right? I mean, if you want certain people to bring guns to protests and certain people not, then you're not applying the Second Amendment equally. So, you're not always immediately in the wrong if you're carrying. And, if it's so funny because the left keeps bringing up Kyle Rittenhouse as if they're trying to use this argument against us. I'm using it for us. If Kyle Rittenhouse had gotten into a scuffle with law enforcement agents while armed, it might have gone much differently for him, right? So where Alex went wrong was getting involved in whatever ICE was doing with this woman on the ground. And it seemed like, based on some other angles, that people were throwing hands. I don't know why people were pushing and shoving each other, but it looked like, everyone was to blame. Like everyone is pushing and shoving everyone. And again, to the point about what Alex was doing, I can't argue that he was really helping or doing anything productive. It genuinely looked like he was dragging this woman on the ground. This is just from where I'm sitting. But these liberal protesters, and they love to call themselves legal observers, they're doing more than observing, right? They're going out there to instigate something with law enforcement. That's the protesters' goal. They're not just observing. They're not just filming with their phones. They're not just blowing whistles. They are baiting these officers. And even the media has convinced them that they are doing something. They are making a difference, and they are stopping ICE. And this headline came up when I was scrolling over the weekend from the Huffington Post saying that, there are ways to stop ICE. And here's how you do it. You can go up. They're basically urging people to call their congressman and ask that they vote to defund DHS on January 30th, right? But I feel like people see these headlines like in the Huffington Post saying, here's how you can stop ICE. Here's the one thing that you can do. Here's what immigration experts say that you can do. I think they're reading those headlines, but they see that and they think, okay, I'm justified to go out and do whatever I'm doing in the streets. Like everything that I'm doing is justified when that's not true. And calling your congressman just isn't as flashy for social media. It doesn't get people riled up in the way that these videos are. And let's be real, even if DHS had funding cut, their efforts aren't going to stop. And nobody can stop ICE except for maybe Trump, but he was given a mandate by the American people to build the wall and get rid of our illegal aliens in this country. So ICE isn't going anywhere. DHS not going anywhere. This is all just, stuff to get them riled up, but it doesn't really mean anything. That you can't do anything with your protests aside from like raise awareness, which they say is important, but we're all very aware of what's going on here. So instead, these protesters are going out and they're taunting ICE agents into making mistakes on camera that they can use to push their narrative, the left's narrative. And I'm going to use an analogy. Like if I took my finger and I poked Justin in the arm once, I would be well within my right to poke you. That's annoying, but it's not illegal to poke you, right? But let's say I poke you 20 times in a row. You're probably going to look at me and tell me to F off. What are you doing? Stop, right? Because you're a human. This is what the ICE protesters are doing to ICE agents. They're essentially, but it's not just like poking you 20 times. It's the last 2 weeks. This is what the ICE agents have been subjected to. It's like we're watching like a psychology experiment happen in real time where it's how long can these ICE agents remain professional? How long can they restrain themselves while we have megaphones in their ears, we're blowing whistles, we're trying to protest in front of the hotel room so that they can't sleep. We're basically rage baiting them nonstop. We're going to rage bait someone for 2 weeks long and then see how they react. That's what is happening right now. And if I poked you for 2 weeks straight, that would be harassment, right? And they use this like it's, well, what we're doing is legal. And it's like, no, of course, you're allowed to blow a whistle. There's nothing that says that you can't blow a whistle. There's nothing that says you can't bang pots and pans, maybe except for like a noise complaint kind of a thing. But they do the legal thing and then they take it to the next level where now they're bordering into harassment, stalking, and other things, and then obstructing justice, which, well, now they're committing felonies. But they feel justified because it's like, well, I just poked him. And that's not what's happening. It's not as innocent as they're saying. And for the people who hate ICE so much, they are seeking them out quite a bit. I could probably go my entire life without coming in contact with an ICE agent. You can certainly avoid ICE if you want to. These people do not want to avoid ICE. They want to follow them. They want to track them. They want to attempt to intimidate them, hurt them, dox them, and stop them. Now, Cam Higby is an independent journalist on the right, and he's been out in Minnesota doing some incredible work, and he actually infiltrated one of these group chats or these signal chats that these leftist agitators are using. They're organizing and mobilizing on these group chats. So Cam Higby gets in on this group chat, and he actually joins one of their calls to hear what they're doing, and you can hear in this video the leftist agitators, they think that Cam Higby is ICE, and they are following him. Watch this.
Yeah, that gray F-150 just drove past me on the opposite way towards Cedar. That was on Lake and Park.
That's us.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You could say we've got 2 commuters behind that F-150.
Yeah. That's confirmed.
Do we have anyone in this call who's at 28th, 29th Pleasant right now? Lokita, you're not there, correct?
Don't wave at them. Do not wave.
Correct, I am on 3rd and Lake. I wouldn't be there
Wow.
in probably like 2-3 minutes. Yeah, that gray F-150 just drove past me.
Crazy. Cam is in a car. He's in a Ford, whatever they said. It was a Ford F-150 or some truck, right? And basically, if you're driving any truck in Minnesota right now, these leftist idiots think that you are ICE. It doesn't matter. We've played videos all week long of, a tree trimmer who had a truck and people were following her and stalking her. So again, these leftist agitators, I guess they get wind that Cam Higbee is not necessarily on their team, right? And they go and they stalk him. And then they're in these signal chats. Little do they know that he's on the phone call with them, which is just hilarious. But, they're saying, yeah, we have 2 cars following him right now. And if that was me, I would unmute myself so fast and I would be like, and what are you going to do when you find me? Seriously. And what is your plan? You're going to follow me all day. And then what? You're just going to intimidate me when I get out of my car? Like, what is the strategy here? And the crazy thing is Minnesota politicians are well aware of these signal chats and they are fully supportive. I was actually on my way in here. Libs of TikTok posted another one, another Minnesota politician that's involved in this and supporting this. But at the very top, right underneath Tim Walz, Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, she posted a video on TikTok online saying that she was at an event and, everyone that she was with had their phones going off and they had to leave and go confront ICE because they all got alerts at the same time that ICE was in the area. She seemed very supportive of this movement to have them all mobilize and hear that ICE is in the area and then go after them. This is at the very, very top of the government in Minnesota. Cam Higbee also posted a screenshot from the signal chat that he had infiltrated of someone saying that Flan had been exposed. And there was a user in this chat going by Flan Southside that people suspected to be the lieutenant governor. That is not confirmed, but she does know about these group chats. She knows that people are getting together and following ICE agents, and she is supportive of this. Now, according to the Washington Times, Minnesota State Representative Alex Falconer has also admitted to being a part of the signal chat, and he has encouraged other people to join it. The Washington Times, along with Cam Higbee and Courage is a Habit, I have Alvin Louie on this show quite frequently, but they have all linked a third Democratic official. Her name is Amanda Kohler, to the signal chats as well. She was a campaign strategist for Governor Tim Walz, and she's an administrator in one of these ICE tracking groups. So the Democrats in office are encouraging this behavior. They're encouraging their constituents to defy law enforcement and to follow and track and dox them and intimidate them. And then there are constituents that are dying because of it. And it's sad because, I'm on the other side, right? But I don't want to see anyone die. I don't want to see Renee Good die. I don't want to see Alex Preddy die. I don't want to see anyone die. And it's even sadder when they die for no reason. Stopping law enforcement from enforcing the law is a stupid hill to die on. But these people genuinely believe that illegal immigrants are being targeted for their skin color. They are driven by emotion and leftist rhetoric like this. And let me just say again, this is the tippy top of Democrat leadership in Minnesota. Here is Tampon Tim comparing all of this, of course, to the Holocaust. Watch.
We have got children in Minnesota hiding in their houses, afraid to go outside. Many of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota. And there's one person who can end this now.
Really? Someone is going to write a book about what's happening now in Minnesota, and it's going to be like the Holocaust? But again, these leftist protesters have been conditioned by Governor Walz and others, many others, that Trump is Hitler, ICE is the Gestapo, and if you fight them, you are on the right side of history. These history buffs also think that nobody is illegal on stolen land. Do you know how idiotic you have to be to want to live in a country with no borders nor immigration policy? These people want complete anarchy in the name of being anti-racist. These are the same people that think, all these migrants should be able to come here for a better life, while the liberals hate America. They think this is the worst country of all time. And if that was true, if the liberals actually thought that America was so horrible, they would encourage these migrants to go elsewhere. They would say, stay where you are. America's so bad and dangerous. Stay where you are. But they're not saying that. Then the liberals also think that, the government should pay for school and health care, all of these freebies, right? All these leftists, these democratic socialists, they want all of these freebies. And in blue states, the migrants are getting all of those freebies that the Democrats are voting for, like health care, free flights, free phones. Why doesn't that make the liberals mad? But it's because they are sold the equity lie. This is why the indoctrination within the school system and on social media is necessary for the Democrats' master plan to work. Now, DEI and critical race theory teach young people that white people have advantages and they must be knocked down a peg to allow for everyone to be exactly the same. Or, minority groups need to have, X, Y, and Z so that everyone is the same. It's Marxist slop. So now these white saviors, they grow up and they think, oh, okay, well, they're okay with it. Even though I voted for all of these freebies, I voted for democratic socialism, it's only going to these people that break the law. But they're sold the lie that these people are good and they're not breaking the law. So these white saviors think, well, they're minorities, so they need that free health care more than I do. They need the government assistance more than I do. And that's how the Democrats justify letting the migrants get the freebies, and the liberals keep voting for it, and they're never getting it themselves. They just convince the liberals to keep advocating for those same Democrat policies despite never benefiting from them. So they have this undying support for this new voter base that the Democrats keep importing. And call me crazy, but I care more about Americans than people wanting to come here and rip off the system and take advantage of my tax dollars. I want my tax dollars going towards the American citizens only and causes that benefit American citizens only. And I'm sure there are a lot of people in Minnesota that feel the same way. And I dare any of these liberals to go migrate to any other country without paperwork or without following the legal process. The countries with strong borders, they don't have terror attacks that claim the lives of their citizens. The countries that have open borders, they watch their citizens get mowed down and they watch their churches burn at Christmas time. Why would anyone vote to live amongst criminals? Again, they've been sold lies for years and they think they're gaining some kind of social currency by being a good person. And the Democrats are fundraising now off of that white guilt. I couldn't believe this headline when I saw it, but this is out of the Daily Caller. And apparently this pro-Kamala group has now gone dark after getting caught fundraising off of Alex Preddy's death. Wow. Just hours after Alex Preddy was killed, this super PAC was sending text messages begging for donations. Here's what one of the text messages said. Alex Preddy is the limit. Calling on recipients to stand with us. Donate $50 for a 200% match. Hours after a protester died. The message was linked to a Democratic Youth Wave PAC. And yes, all of this is gone through Act Blue, that fundraising platform. Is it any shock that all of this is happening in Minnesota? Huge fraud scandal. Is it any shock that it's happening in an election year? I'm not shocked at all. Democrats used George Floyd as a campaign strategy. They obsess over a death. They make it political. They blame Trump. They use it to raise money and win elections. Democrats won't be able to raise money off of Orange Man Bad for much longer. This is kind of their last shot. So they're going to do it. One of their own dies. And it's not, this is so, they're complaining about it, but their immediate reaction is, how do we make money off of this? How do we get the Republicans out of office? How do we gain power? And it reminds me of The Hunger Games. Have you ever seen that movie? I know everyone's shocked that I've seen a movie, but I have seen The Hunger Games. And it's these evil elites basically watch all these sorry people die for their entertainment. All of them, it's like, they're up here and they're watching everyone in like this fishbowl basically like kill each other to win the Hunger Games. And it's almost like Democrats know that these protesters will go out and die for these causes and then they can fundraise off of it. And there are no shortage of wannabe martyrs. Here was one just earlier today taunting ICE agents, begging them to kill him. Listen.
Bitches, shoot us in the fucking face! Shoot me in the fucking head! Why don't you fucking shoot me in the fucking head? You cowards! You're fucking cowards! I'm right here! Fucking kill me!
Yep. Begging ICE agents to kill him. And again, ICE agents are not there to kill people. That's not their job. But if you are obstructing, then that might happen. There is the FO portion to the FA, right? ICE agents aren't just going to shoot this guy in the head because he's screaming. He's more than, happy to scream. But again, he is more than willing to die for the cause. And I saw a post on X saying that this is their version of jihad. They will die for the cause. This is their religion. That's how passionately they feel. That's how much they've been lied to. They genuinely think that they are doing the right thing. And they are willing to put their lives down on the line to protest. It's quite sad, actually. Taking a quick break to tell you about Helix Sleep. Winter's here, and honestly, I am spending way more time indoors, especially in the bedroom. Staying cozy has never been easier since I switched to a Helix mattress. Before Helix, nights were rough, constant tossing, turning, night sweats. It was exhausting. You don't wake up and you don't feel good when you're sleeping poorly. Then I took Helix's sleep quiz, and it matched me with the perfect mattress. No guesswork, no stress, and since then, my sleep has completely transformed. I wake up feeling refreshed, and it's amazing how much better my days are when I actually sleep well. And I can get up for my workouts, I feel better, and I'm tracking my sleep, and I fall asleep within like 4 minutes. It's crazy how fast. I hit the pillow and I'm out. And Helix is award-winning, ships free in the U.S., and offers a 120-night sleep trial plus a lifetime warranty. And if you're not happy, their Happy with Helix guarantee makes returns simple and stress-free. Are you ready to upgrade your sleep? Head to helixsleep.com/Hayley, that is Hayley, for 20% off site-wide. That is helixsleep.com/Hayley for 27% off your entire order. And make sure that you enter Nightly Scroll at checkout so they know that I sent you. Again, that is helixsleep.com/Hayley, Hayley, so that you can get that discount. All right, so with all of this going on in Minnesota, their leader, Tim Walz, said that he is damn proud. This is what he posted on X, saying, he is just damn proud of these protesters in Minnesota. He is damn proud of his state. Wow. I personally wouldn't be so proud of Minnesota. I actually don't know how he could tweet this and say this with a straight face. How do you tweet this and think that you are not going to get backlash for this? I don't know what there is to be proud of unless he is proud of people acting a mess in the streets. And, after Tim Walz called for ICE to leave, but the protesters to stay, videos went around of Tim Walz's National Guard giving out refreshments to the protesters. Again, this is Tim Walz making sure that these protesters, they've got everything that they need. They've got donuts and coffee. Watch this.
These ones look the best.
Oh, cute. I've got first aid over there.
Okay.
So the Care Bears first aid van.
Okay. All right.
So I've got like BVMs, some occlusive dressings, some stuff.
Okay.
So if you guys need anything like that.
Do you want some coffee?
Okay. Later in the show, I'm gonna show you that an ICE agent's thumb was bitten off. Maybe this is why Tim Walz figured, I need to keep these protesters well fed. Otherwise, they're going to bite the hands of these ICE agents, quite literally. So maybe if the donuts were passed around earlier, this ICE agent would still have a finger. But ICE agents that have a job, they actually have a job to do. They're being obstructed by protesters that have no jobs and no lives. And then they're being encouraged and given sustenance by these officers. Make it make sense. Okay. So let's take some time to appreciate some of these protesters and all of the craziness. This is a woman. She is the epitome of white savior complex liberal. She's elite. She's rich. She even admits that she just had to leave her posh home to go protest. Listen to this.
My husband is in there somewhere. Like, we were at home, in our posh home in Edina, and we were watching the news and learned that there was another shooting here. And we were just like, I can't stand this anymore. I can't stand what's happening here. So we came out immediately, and we were here after a lot of the folks were getting pulled out and tear gas and can't see out of their own eyes because they're literally blinded by the chemicals. And so I was helping people back there, and I happened across this woman. I don't know where she is now, but she was having a panic attack. She was in the moment of having a panic attack. And I walked up and I gave her a huge hug, and I just said to her, I said, we got this. This is when we show our resolve as a city, because we're better than this. We are under attack by this administration right now, and this is not okay. It's just not. I'm a 55-year-old woman who lives in Edina, and I have to come in here and tell the world, we have to change this. This is not okay for our city.
She's a 55-year-old woman who had to leave her posh house to go out and comfort someone having an anxiety attack. Go home. Go home. You're doing nothing. They think that they're these freedom fighters. They're going out and having anxiety attacks in the street. Go home for your mental health. These are the people that beg to work from home. Going into the office 5 days a week is the worst thing that you could ever make them do for their mental health. They need to take mental health days from work. Then, they don't have a job. Protesting is their full-time job. And then they're out in the streets having anxiety attacks. And then these rich ladies, these rich white old ladies, have to go out and help them. No, you don't. You can actually all go home. You can all go home. You already know how I feel about protesting, right? Do it. Fine. If you must, go out and protest. If you're going to do it peacefully, I have no problem with it. You can blow your whistle. You can do whatever you want. Fine, right? If you must, then you must. But you're not doing anything. You're not affecting any change. There's nothing that you can possibly do except get hurt. Like this woman who picked up a flashbang and then it went off, and here she is. She's doing her best LeBron James crying when he falls down, kind of an impersonation. She should play soccer. Watch this.
Medic.
Here she is. She's flailing on the ground. She picked up a flashbang.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
So now everyone's rushing to help her. I don't feel bad for these people. I don't. This is I don't feel bad for people like this. I don't feel bad for people that get their hands blown off on the 4th of July with fireworks or whatever. I genuinely don't feel bad. Look at her. Just, ew. What? She's absolutely rolling around, flailing her arms around, her whole body flailing her arms around. And her hand looks bloody, but she's got all of her fingers, which is more than this next ICE agent can say. So, or it's a CBP officer. Here's Trisha McLaughlin, the spokesperson for DHS. Here she is explaining, and these photos, I will say, are graphic. You're going to see a tip of a finger that is not attached to the rest of the hand here. So this is what Trisha said. In Minneapolis, these rioters attacked our law enforcement officer, and one of them bit off our HSI officer's finger. He will lose his finger. So there's the photo, the top left, of this guy who no longer has the tip of his finger. And then the bottom right corner, the rest of his finger that was bitten off. So I know that some people watch dinner while they watch this show. I apologize. I should have warned you ahead of time. But yeah, this is the left. You know, they scream and cry and they're just flailing around in the street when they pick up a flashbang and hurt themselves, but then they're also mostly violent protesters who are biting people and biting their fingers off. No one should have to have their fingers bitten off. That is not peaceful. That is not mostly peaceful. That is mostly deranged and mostly disgusting and mostly illegal. Absolutely disgusting. Eating someone's finger, biting someone's finger off. Do you know how absolutely deranged you have to be? I mean, this person has to be on drugs of some sort. I can't imagine adrenaline would have you bite someone's finger off. That's crazy. It is crazy. And now this next CBP officer, he's also covered in blood. And, you know, there was a group of protesters outside the Home 2 Suites by Hilton in this area. And these protesters, they were, banging, they were vandalizing this Home 2 Suites because they thought that ICE agents or CBP officers were staying there. And after this wreckage of all of these protesters, the press actually hung back and they were asking this CBP officer if he's okay. He's covered in blood. Watch this.
Is everyone press?
We're over 90. We're all members of the press. We're all press here. Okay. This officer appears to be bleeding from the mouth. Oh my God. Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Says he's all right. He's all right.
Where's the local PD? That's my question for the press.
Okay. This officer.
Where is the local PD?
What's your message to the local PD, sir?
No.
Okay.
Well, the mayor.
Very chaotic.
Sir, while you're getting messages, what would your message to the protesters that want you out be?
An impromptu press conference with the
As long as you're getting
No
comment,
comment.
do you have any comment
Please
to the
get
people that want
back
you
up.
out?
Back up. Please give me some room.
You know, these members of the press, they're asking him if he's okay because he's bleeding. They're also asking him for a message. And all he has to say is no comment, but where are the local police officers? Where are they? Well, they've been told by, again, the very tippy top of the Democrat government in Minnesota to not help. They are not to assist their other law enforcement, their fellow law enforcement agents. They're the local police officers and local law enforcement, they have been told to not help the Border Patrol or ICE. So he has no backup. He is the last one there. Again, could you imagine the destruction? You could see the destruction behind him. There's broken glass. Everything's knocked over. There's papers everywhere. I mean, again, the Home 2 Suites has to clean all of this up. And were ICE agents even staying there? Unclear. But it doesn't matter to the protesters. They just get word of whatever. They follow people who are in trucks. They are out there. It's the blind leading the blind. And again, they think they're doing something. They're not. They're causing wreckage in their city. But again, this is the same city that burned to the ground in 2020 for George Floyd. They are more than happy to do it again for Renee Good, Alex Pretty, or whoever else. They do not care. Even Gwen Walls herself said she loved opening the windows and smelling all the fumes of the burning tires and all. Her city's burning to the ground and she loves it because it's in the name of social justice. So here's round two. You know, it's 6 years later now and it's round two and Tim Walz and Gwen Walls are still in leadership and they're letting all of this happen. And they're letting these CBP officers and ICE agents fend for themselves when all they're trying to do is make Minnesota safe. They want to deport murderers and pedophiles. And then they're being stopped by Tim and Gwen Walls and their leadership. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. Here's another video of these protesters at this Home2 Suites Hilton. All of them are outside. Again, they're making all of this noise because they think that there are ICE officers inside trying to sleep. And then there's this one guy. I love the one guy running on the treadmill. He's an unbothered king. And let me just say, this guy is probably on a work trip, because why else would you go to Minneapolis at a time like this? I can't imagine that you're on a vacation for pleasure and you're going to Minneapolis in the middle of winter. It's like negative 20 degrees, right? So I know that this guy is on a work trip. He doesn't want to be in Minneapolis, but he is. And listen, I've been to these hotel gyms. They don't have the best equipment. It's not great. You know, you just make do. This guy's just trying to stick to his, his January goals. It's the new year, new him. He's in the gym. He wants to look right. And honestly, the best way to distract yourself on the treadmill is when you can watch all of these leftist lunatics in the street just banging. I'd be on the treadmill for days. You wouldn't be able to get me off. You'd have to peel me off of the treadmill. I would watch all of these lunatics in the street banging their pots and pans, and, that would be my entertainment. Because I don't like running. I don't like having to do cardio, but that would keep me on the treadmill a little bit longer to see all of these lunatics in the street looking stupid. That would just, and they're all fat and disgusting too. Like, I would run on the treadmill and I'd say, I'd never be like you people. Looking down, I'd never be like you. Gym motivation. There's no better gym motivation. But in all seriousness, this Home2 Suites completely ruined. Are they going to have to pay for this? I mean, honestly, I would sue the Minnesota governor and the government and have them pay for all of this. You encouraged all of this wreckage. You pay for it to be fixed up. Absolutely insane. And all of these other businesses, this is Jorge Ventura with the Daily Caller went out, independent journalist, and he was grabbing all this video of these businesses in Minnesota boarding up. Again, this is a la 2020, 2021, the summer of love. They have all these, cardboard and all these wood planks. They're boarding up their businesses because they're afraid. Watch this. Here's Aldi grocery store covering all their windows because they don't know what's going to happen, but they know what these leftists are capable of. They saw this in 2020. Isn't that sad? All of the windows being boarded up. Because again, these agitators take these situations and use it to their advantage. They go in, if these were left, if Aldi just left the windows as is, I'm sure someone would have thrown a brick through them and they would have been looted. If they learned anything from 2021, which clearly they have. Democrats cannot claim to be the party of the working class when they allow this and encourage it. They shuttered businesses during COVID and they didn't care. And then the loan schemes that they ran allowed for massive amounts of fraud to occur at the taxpayers' expense. And now they encourage lawlessness, and they don't care that businesses are afraid of losing everything. They don't care about small businesses unless they can find a way to make money off of it or get their votes. And truly, any amount of money that the Democrat Party has made off of these protests should go back to the businesses that had to board up their windows out of fear. And businesses in the area are even calling on leaders to work with federal law enforcement to actually have a solution to this problem. Here's an open letter that these businesses sent to the leadership. Watch this. So this is what it said. An open letter from CEOs of large Minnesota-based companies and associations. It says this: the business community in Minnesota prides itself in providing leadership and solving problems to ensure a strong and vibrant state. The recent challenges facing our state have created widespread disruption and tragic loss of life. For the past several weeks, representatives of Minnesota's business community have been working every day behind the scenes with federal, state, and local officials to advance real solutions. Imagine that. Businesses being like, get your you-know-what together. And they said, we've been working for, generations to build a strong and vibrant state here in Minnesota, and we will do so in the months and years ahead. But they're saying this is a difficult moment for the community, but they need everyone to come together. They need the state to work with the federal agents. And look at all of these companies. 3M, Hormel, Medtronic, Target, all of them, huge companies, Land O'Lakes, Carlson, Cargill, Children's Hospital of Minnesota, the Minnesota Vikings, the Minnesota Wild, all of them. They're saying this is absolutely insane. We need our city back, and you guys aren't working together. But Democrats don't want a solution. They want to milk this for as long as they possibly can. The more chaos, the better. All right. I know this happened over the weekend. I think this was on Friday or Saturday, but we have to talk about the Somali girl. I think her name is Nasra Ahmed. And she's 23 years old, and they invited her up to speak because she claims that she was detained for 2 days by ICE agents, and it was a harrowing experience, but she lived to tell the tale. And here's what she says being Somali is all about.
So I'm Somali. I'm proud to be Somali. To me, being Somali isn't just eating bananas with rice. It's a lot. It's like... It's an interesting thing. It's very hard to describe what it means to be Somali and what it means to be American, but it's like a cultural fusion. It's kind of like the bananas and rice. You know, people don't really see like, you know, it's you know, people don't think, oh, you can eat bananas with rice, but that's what it's like to be Somali and American. It's like that combination of banana and rice, but you're gonna get what I mean.
I actually don't get what you mean. And she says, you're gonna get what I mean. Are we gonna get this? Something tells me I'm never going to understand what she was actually trying to get at there. She also says being Somali is not just bananas and rice, but then she couldn't rack her brain to find what being Somali is actually like. It's not just bananas and rice, but it's bananas and rice, and it's bananas and rice, and it's bananas and rice. That's all she could come up with. That was it. That's it. That's being Somali and American, is the combination, the cultural fusion of bananas and rice. You've got to be kidding me. And my theory, you know, because they brought her up because, you know, she claims to have had this horrific experience with ICE. Okay. My theory is they needed to have a woman sit up here at their press conference because they have to hit their DEI quota. You know, they have to have someone from the Somali community. The Somali community, you know, we got to have them, you know, be front and center. And it backfired big time. Backfired big time. And anytime I see a member of this community in front of a camera, it doesn't go well for them. You saw some guy, the daycare owner, he had his like $2,000 Chrome Hearts glasses on and his Ted Baker jacket. Like he has, you know, money. He's not struggling, but he's in front of the camera. Then the other Somali girl that said fraud is bad. Ooh, like it was a Freudian slip. Like she didn't actually mean to say that fraud is bad, even though it is bad, but that's not what the Somali community wanted her to say. So she says fraud is bad. She realizes that she said too much. She said the quiet part out loud, that the Somalis, they might be involved in some fraud. And she claims that was bad. That's not what you were supposed to say. You're supposed to say that it was good. You're not supposed to bring up the fraud. So I didn't think that it could really get any better, but this was top tier word salad. This was like Kamala Harris mixed with the Somali fraud situation. I mean, you can't get any better. This was like the wheels on the bus. I'm a woman wearing a blue suit. I mean, all of the Kamala-isms, this was top tier. This was absolutely top tier. And the guy behind her is like, what is happening? You could tell immediate regret. The bigger Asian guy in the back is thinking, I don't really know what she's getting at here. You know, land the plane, please. Land the plane. And she doesn't. And he's just thinking, maybe we can put a stop to this somehow. I don't know how, but we got to get her out. We got to get her out of here. So anyway, they didn't pick the best of the best to represent them. But I did do my best bananas and rice girl impression on social media. So if you haven't seen it, it is going viral on Instagram and TikTok right now. So at Hayley Caronia, shameless plug, HayleyCaronia. I did like a 96.9% accuracy where I did memorize what she said word for word. And then people said that it wasn't accurate enough. So I did go put on a black hoodie and some bandages on my head, and I gave it another go. So go check it out. Wow, we only have a few minutes left, so let's do this Chrissy Teigen thing. I'm going to hit this Florida nurse's story tomorrow, but Chrissy Teigen, she is one of the judges on Star Search. So Star Search, you probably remember from the 80s and 90s, big talent show, right, with judges, and, you know, they found Britney Spears from Star Search and other stars. And so Chrissy Teigen is a judge, Sarah Michelle Gellar is a judge, and Jelly Roll, he's a country music artist, is a judge. Now, on the episode that it was the first episode that aired, this is on Netflix Live now, Jelly Roll was talking about his faith, and Chrissy Teigen was sitting next to him, and she just seemed absolutely disturbed by that. When you hear him say, "Can I get an amen?" You hear everyone in the room, they're cheering, and Chrissy Teigen is giving him the side eye. She is looking visibly uncomfortable, kind of like shifting in her seat a little bit, not even making eye contact with Jelly Roll. And, you know, Sarah Michelle Gellar at least is smiling, but look at this face, this stank face from Chrissy Teigen. I mean, she is just hating this. And people in the chat are saying that's the demon in her and it's demonic and she worships Satan and she looks disgusted, and she does look absolutely disgusted. And let me just say, Chrissy Teigen is such a disgusting human being. I don't know why she was chosen to be a judge on Star Search anyway. She used to be a model, but I don't really know what other talent she has, and I don't know why she would be a good judge of other talent. She's also absolutely disgusting. You know, she has these tweets from a long time ago where she's talking about basically pedophilia and how much she loves toddlers and tiaras. And it's really disturbing. So if you haven't seen those posts, you should. And I think that she is the epitome of Hollyweird, demonic craziness. She doesn't stand for anything that Jelly Roll is talking about, and it makes her so uncomfortable. It is like the veil is being lifted, and she cannot even pretend that talking about the Holy Spirit or having someone talk about the Holy Spirit in her presence isn't bothering her deeply to her core. That is disgusting. You can't just sit there and, you know, nod. You can't just sit there and smile. No, she couldn't even do that. That is how deep that demonic energy is. And that's most of Hollywood, right? I mean, we can count on some country music stars to have that faith and to talk about it. There are some other pro-American patriots in Hollywood, but they're few and far between, right? There's Chris Pratt and some others that are pretty outspoken about their Christianity and things like that and their faith. But for the most part, it's people like Chrissy Teigen that can't stand to even hear about it. All right, we only have, 3 minutes left? I'm just going to save scrolling time for tomorrow, and I will use these last few minutes here to say thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, I appreciate all of you. Another reminder to make sure that you are following this channel, Bongino Report channel. I know that some people can catch some clips on X or on Facebook. We stream there now, but you're not going to get the whole show. Obviously, if you're watching or listening right now, you are here on Rumble, so you've made the right decision. But rumble.com/Hayley, that is where you're going to be able to find my show and Vince's show. Vince's show is already going on the Bongino Report channel, so that's where you're going to find us. Dan gets his channel back right here on Rumble starting February 2nd. So February 2nd is when everything changes here at Silverlock. Vince and I holding down the fort on the Bongino Report channel. The Dan Bongino show is going to be back from 10 to 12. Wow. And I'm going to be right at 12. So I'm so excited for that. This is just going to be such a cool opportunity, honestly, to follow Dan. We've never really worked together before. We've worked sort of together at Fox, where I used to book him, but this is the first time where we get to actually work together because, I was hired and he left right away to go work for the FBI. So I'm very excited for this, I should say. And I hope that all of you are excited too. It's going to be new show name, new set, but it's going to be the same great content, a lot of fun videos. Of course, scrolling time is still going to be here. So we didn't have it for you today, but I'm going to have a nice scrolling time for you tomorrow. And I'm so excited to be back with you. So make sure you follow me again, shameless plug, on social media at Hayley Caronia, HayleyCaronia. And I will see you right back here tomorrow. Bye.